What if I told you that you could get Flagship action camera image quality in a package that weighs just 54 grams? The Xtra Atto is challenging everything that we thought we knew about mini action cameras. Today we're diving deep into the Xtra Atto, a 4K wearable action camera that's competing directly with the Insta360 Go 3S and the DJI Osmo Nano. This isn't just another mini camera, it's packing some serious specs that caught my attention. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. In this video, we'll cover unboxing and what's included, the Flagship sensor that sets it apart, image quality, stabilization performance, the innovative Vision Dock system, battery life testing, all the creative features, and my final verdict on if this camera is one to consider. So first of all, let's start with what you get in the package. You get the Xtra Atto camera, you get the multifunctional Vision Dock, you get a magnetic pendant mount, a pivot stand mount, an easy clip mount, a lens protector, and a USB-C cable. Now the camera itself is incredibly compact at just 54 grams. For reference, that's about the weight of a golf ball. And the dimensions are 54 by 29 by 27 millimeters, which makes it a genuinely pocketable product. And some of the key specs on the Atto that stand out to me are the 1.96-inch touchscreen. This touchscreen has a great size, and it's very easy to use, and the display brightness is very nice. In addition, there's a 143 wide field of view lens, and this gives an excellent wide view to capture everything you want to in that scene. In addition, there are two microphones built into the camera, and those microphones provide excellent sound quality. Take a listen here. So I'm using the mic built onto the camera right here. I've got no external mics in use for this sound, and the sound is straight out of the camera, unedited, so that you can hear how it sounds. And I do have the standard noise cancellation mode on with the audio. If there was a little bit of wind or something like that, this should cancel it out quite nicely. And it's great to have a built-in mic on a camera this tiny that you can use, because when you're doing action sports with a camera this tiny, the last thing you want is some type of external microphone to worry about breaking or having fall off, anything like that. If you can get good quality audio inside a 54-gram camera, that is a huge win. In addition, this camera is waterproof down to 10 meters, but do note this is the camera only. But when you do have the dock attached, it is IPX4 splash resistant. What this means is you don't need to worry if a little bit of rain or snow hits it. The main thing you want to remember is to not get the Vision Dock into water. So one of the features that really sets the Xtra Atto apart is this multifunctional Vision Dock. It's not merely a charging case, it's also a remote control, a micro SD card expansion slot, and a mounting system all in one. We'll dive into this a little bit deeper later on. So let's talk about the sensor on this camera. The Xtra Atto uses a 1/1.3-inch CMOS sensor. For context and comparison, that sensor is the same size as the sensor on the DJI Action 5 Pro, which is a flagship action camera. And for comparison, the Insta360 Go 3S uses a smaller 1/1.23-inch sensor, and it maxes out at 4K 30 frames per second. The Xtra Atto shoots at 4K 60 frames per second. But what does this mean for you? This means better low light performance, more detail and dynamic range, higher quality 4K footage, and professional grade results from a camera that you can clip to your hat. And one of the cool things about the Atto is the image quality rivals cameras 2 times its size, and that 140-degree field of view captures everything without the extreme distortion you get from some ultra-wide action cameras. So what's the big deal about this camera being 54 grams? At 54 grams, the Xtra Atto opens up a lot of creative possibilities that are simply impossible with your smartphone or a traditional action camera. Some of these possibilities include where you can actually mount the camera. Because you can mount this camera in a whole bunch of different places, this allows you to get first-person POV footage that keeps your hands free. And if you want to mount this on your chest, this is great for cycling, skiing, or any activity where you want a body-mounted perspective. And when you're riding a bicycle, there are many possible mounting locations, and the benefit of this is that's low-profile mounting that doesn't affect the aerodynamics while you're riding. In addition, you can get a lot of creative angles. You can drop it in a bottle, you can attach it to pretty much any unconventional surface, and the lightweight means that you can get shots that other cameras simply can't. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to ride my bike right now, And I'm going to use 3 different mounts to show you the different perspectives you can capture while doing POV activities like hiking, biking, skiing, etc. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this lanyard mount. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this around my neck here. And then I'm going to detach the camera itself right here from the dock. And I've already got all my settings keyed in on here. And the dock I can actually power off. This can be recording independently of the dock. So what I'm going to do with the dock is I'm just going to tuck it into a pocket here where I know where it is. I could put it in my pack, but I'm going to keep it right here because I'm going to need it again in a moment. And then in order to mount this on the lanyard, it's super simple. Just hold it close to it. It's going to click into place. So if you want to do vertical recording, you can do that. In my case, I want to do horizontal. So I'm going to mount it on here horizontally, and then I'm going to get on my bike and film a clip. And of course, do make sure you hit record on here first. So when you do hit record, you're going to hear a beep. And you're going to see the red light blinking here. So once I've hit record, I'm going to get it back into position here. And I'm going to take off and start riding. Going to stop that recording. And in order to hold our camera into place better, we can put the lanyard behind the outer jacket like that. And that camera is going to stay in place really well. It's going to move with me, which is going to be really what I want. Because as you saw in my first clip, the camera was swinging like this because the lanyard was free. So now that I have it mounted there, let's do another ride so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to start recording. We've got our beep, we've got our red light. Let's take it for another spin. Whew. It's a cold day today, and creating that 20-mile-per-hour wind chill, definitely, you definitely feel it. So now let's talk about some creative angles. So that's where this clip right here is going to come in pretty handy. So with this clip, it's really simple to mount it on there, clip it into place just like that. And then right here is where we can mount it in creative places. So on this bike, I kind of want a little bit of sideways motion blur when I'm driving along. And of course, mounting this, you can't go much thicker than this. Like I said, this is good for the brim of a hat, something thin like that. And finally, let's do the suction cup tilt mount. So again, really easy to clip on there. And you can adjust this pretty much any angle you want. So what I'm going to do with the suction cup mount is I'm going to mount it on the frame of my bike. And we've got a lot of options. I could mount it right here. I could mount it right here. And if I mount it here, I think I would do a perspective like this to kind of give a more close-up perspective while I'm riding. So I think I'm going to try that first. Of course, just make sure most of the dust and dirt is off whatever surface you're mounting this to. It's going to help the suction cup hold better. This bike is a little bit dirty from some of the riding I did. And then what we want to do is once we have our angle figured out, we want to tighten this so the camera doesn't move. So you do that simply by turning this right here until it's tight. I'm going to mount it on right here. So we're going to push down in the center, and we're going to make sure it's got a good strong grip there. All right, and once we got it mounted, I'm going to hit record, and we're going to see how this looks. So another impressive feature of the Atto are the stabilization modes. The Xtra Atto gives you 2 different stabilization options, and understanding when to use each is crucial. The first option is Motion Master. Motion Master is your traditional electronic image stabilization. It's great for dynamic action where you need smooth movement. So this is great to use anytime you're running, anytime you're biking, or anytime you're doing quick movements. This is with Motion Master turned on. So this gives you a feel for how well the stabilization does. With just the Motion Master mode, this of course does not have any type of horizon stabilization that we would see with Tilt Guard, but I'm going to show you how that looks in a moment. And for comparison, this is how it would look with no stabilization on at all. So I have the stabilization turned off entirely, no Motion Master, no Tilt Guard, no stabilization at all. But the second option is what sets the Atto apart from competitors like the Go 3S. And this mode is known as Tilt Guard. Tilt Guard provides real-time horizon leveling during recording, not in post-production. When you're using the Insta360 Go 3S, you're required to export for horizon balancing. But the Xtra Atto does this automatically inside the camera. You don't have to do this in post-production. So Tilt Guard is a great mode to use anytime you're going to be tilting and rotating the camera, anytime you're walking on uneven terrain, or basically anytime you really value having that horizon perfectly level in your footage. And this is what it looks like with Tilt Guard on. So it will provide that guard for your tilting all the way up to about 30 degrees. So I'm going to tilt the camera here, and then you're going to see it suddenly shift when I get beyond the 30 degrees. But up to 30 degrees, it's going to keep your horizon level, which is really nice. And as promised, let's talk about the multifunction vision dock in more detail. So first of all, it's a charging hub, and it charges the Atto from 0 to 100% in just 40 minutes. And a full system charge, camera and dock together, takes 50 minutes with an external power source. This dock also functions as a remote control. You can control the camera remotely, and this is huge if you're a solo content creator like myself. This dock also serves as storage expansion. Now the Xtra Atto does have 128 gigabytes of built-in storage, but you can add up to 1 terabyte of additional storage via the microSD card slot in the dock. And finally, the Vision Dock functions as a magnetic mounting system. And here's the cool part. You can attach the camera in either direction. You can flip it for selfies, or you can flip it back for capturing others. No fumbling with buttons or settings, just rotate the camera depending on what you want to film. So next, let's talk about battery life and charging. The Atto can operate up to 90 minutes on the camera alone and up to 220 minutes with the Vision Dock attached. And that 40-minute charge time for the camera is legitimately fast, especially when the dock is doing it and you don't have to be plugged into anything while that camera's charging. So practically speaking, for a full day of shooting, the 220-minute combined runtime should be plenty for most users. But if you need more, the 600 megabytes per second transfer speed means you can quickly offload and recharge during breaks. So next, let's talk about some recording features and the app. So one of the cool features about this camera is pre-recording. Let's say your kid does something amazing, or your pet does something hilarious. Just hit record and you've got it. One of the other cool features about this camera is the hands-free recording options. So first of all, there's the nod recording mode. And what this allows you to do is you can simply start recording with a head nod. No buttons, completely hands-free. If you don't want to do the nod recording mode, you can do the pat recording mode. In the pat recording mode, all you have to do is give it a gentle pat and it's going to start recording. As mentioned before, this camera also has the portrait and landscape switching. So all you have to do is do a quick orientation change in the camera and it switches automatically. You don't have to mess with any menus or anything on the screen. Just tilt it and you're good to go. In addition, there's the live photo mode, and the live photo mode allows you to capture moments that are ready to post to social media instantly. And of course, the Xtra app is great. You can install this on your smartphone, and it's very intuitive, and it allows you to make quick edits and exports on the go and upload those. You don't have to be at your computer to do any of that. You can quickly copy the footage to your phone and edit it right there. No computer required. Transfer speeds are also an important aspect of this camera, and some of these speeds are really fast. Thanks to the USB 3.1, you can transfer files at up to 600 megabytes per second via USB-C. And in my testing, I transferred 20 gigabytes of footage to my computer in less than 1 minute. In addition, if you don't want to use a cable and you want to use Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi 6 transfer speeds allow you to transfer files to your phone at about 80 megabytes per second. This is significantly faster than the older Wi-Fi standards. So let's talk about some key specs in the recording modes on the Atto. In the standard video mode, you can do 4K 60 frames per second or 4K 30 frames per second. You can also do 2.7K at 120 frames per second, all the way down to 30 frames per second. And finally, if you want to get some really slow motion footage, you can do 1080p all the way up to 240 frames per second. However, if you want some really high quality slow motion, I recommend using the slow motion mode on here. And here's why. You can get 4x slow motion in 4K 120 frames per second. When I want slow motion, that is my go-to mode. But if you want that 8x slow-mo, you could do 1080p and 240 frames per second as well. The Atto does also have a time-lapse mode. This mode gives you lots of interval options from half a second all the way up to 60 minutes. So it's very versatile. And of course, with the multitude of mounting options, you can get some really cool time lapses pretty much anywhere you can mount this camera. And this camera does also have a hyperlapse option, and you can have the auto speed adjustment, or you can do 2x all the way up to 30x. And if you want to take photos with this camera, you can get some legitimately high quality photos out of this. Photos have a max resolution of 6880 by 5160. What that means is you do have some cropping flexibility later on if you want to crop those in a bit. And in addition, the photo mode offers you single shot options and burst mode options all the way up to 30 images in 3 seconds. And the file formats on here are MP4 using the HEVC codec. And the photo mode, you've got the options of JPEG or RAW. And the max bitrate is all the way up to 120 megabits per second, which is really impressive for a camera that is this tiny and weighs only 54 grams. So who is this camera for? The ideal users of this camera are going to first of all be content creators, and specifically content creators that like to make POV content, vlogs, or anything where you prefer a hands-free, lightweight capture with professional image quality. The second category of ideal users for this camera are adventure enthusiasts. This would include people that are hikers, bikers, skiers, anyone who needs that action camera performance without the bulk. And of course, we have to include parents. The pre-recording feature alone makes this camera valuable for capturing spontaneous kid moments. And finally, this camera is also great for creative filmmakers. The unique mounting options open up perspectives that are impossible with larger cameras. And let's do a quick comparison with the competition. First of all, the Xtra Atto versus the Insta360 Go 3S. The Xtra Atto features a larger sensor, 1/1.3 inches versus 1/1.23 inches. And a major advantage of the Atto is you can do 4K 60, but on the Go 3S you can only do 4K 30. 4K 60 is a much better combo, especially for POV footage. The Xtra Atto has that real-time horizon leveling, tilt guard, it has the remote control dock, and it has the 128 gigabytes of built-in storage. But let's also compare the Xtra Atto to the DJI Osmo Nano. Two big advantages of the Xtra Atto is it has the same sensor size as the Action 5 Pro, and it has the innovative dock system. So here's the bottom line. The Xtra Atto is an impressive tiny action camera. That 1/1.3 inch sensor delivers image quality that genuinely rivals cameras twice its size. And that 54-gram weight opens up creative possibilities that heavier cameras simply can't match. So my recommendation is if you're a content creator who values image quality and creative flexibility versus having the absolute smallest camera, the Xtra Atto deserves serious consideration. The combination of the larger sensor, the 4K 60 capability, and the multifunctional dock system makes this more than just simply another mini action camera. So what do you think? Does the larger sensor and the innovative dock system justify choosing this camera over the competition? Let me know in the comments below.